everyone. It's about 11:30 and I wanted to have this in the crock pot by about noon, so we're doing okay there. Today I am making cube steak in the crock pot, and it's a recipe that I've never used before. I looked up several, I know kind of what I want, which is like a cube steak in a gravy, more a brown type gravy is kind of what I was thinking today. So yeah, I've settled on this one. The only thing I'm not going to do that she said was, instead of just an au jus, she had an au jus plus a can of French onion soup. I just don't think I want that much. So I'm going to do a can of cream of mushroom instead of the French onion soup. That will provide a little bit more of a creamy flavor, I think, along with the au jus, the black pepper, and the garlic. I'm not going to add salt because the au jus will be pretty salty, and then I can add salt later if I need to. So I'm going to get this in the crock pot. I think this sounds really good. Okay, I have my crock pot lined here with my liner. I know some people like them, some people don't. I'm in the I like them category. And here are my cube steaks. They are partially thawed, not completely. That's why I'm giving them a little extra time in the crock pot this morning. Okay, first I'm going to go in with some black pepper. This will be a great seasoning for the gravy. And I'm going to go in with some garlic powder. I'm going to go in with this McCormick's au jus on the top. Now, you can certainly mix the au jus and the cream of mushroom soup, the pepper, the garlic powder. You can mix all that together if you want to and pour over. But the crock pot has such a warm, steamy effect inside of there. Everything, in my opinion, just does its job when it's in there and kind of, you know, melts down and distributes. And so I never mix anything ahead of time, and I've never had a problem. All right, so the gravy's on, or the cream of mushroom soup is on top. I'm just kind of spread that over. I usually do whatever is wet on the top. That way it can just kind of start working its magic on the dry seasonings underneath. And again, it's so steamy in here. Once this gets going, it'll all do its thing. Lastly, I'm just going to put in about a half a can of water. Stir this around. I'm going to pour along the sides a little bit here. And then towards the end of the cook process, I will assess how thick the gravy portion is, and then if I need to thicken it up, I can use a cornstarch slurry to do that. But I think it's going to be great. You could add onions in here with this. You could add potatoes, you know, halfway through. But I'm going to do this today and serve it with some mashed potatoes and I think some fried zucchini. So lid on and let this do its thing. And here we are 5 hours later. I cooked this on high for about 5 hours, and the gravy here is plenty thick enough. I didn't need to add anything to it. It was just perfect. And then the tenderness on these, just perfect as well. You can see here the spoon just goes right through them. We super enjoyed this cube steak in the crock pot, and it just could not be easier to stick this in the crock pot and have it ready for you. I fried up some zucchini and yellow squash, and I just really wasn't paying attention and overfilled my pan, but it fried up just delicious anyways. Even though it was packed in there a little tight, it was still as good as ever. And then I just made some mashed potatoes, spooned that gravy over top. Like I said, this was so good. I'll definitely be making this one as a regular meal in the crock pot. After it cooked for a little bit, I just went in there and kind of made sure those cube steak patties were separated so they all had an even cook time. And it was just easy peasy and delicious. This was kind of a comfort food meal that we thoroughly enjoyed. Now, if you've been around here long, you know we enjoy a good homemade pizza. So here I have my sausage in one half of the pan and some peppers and onions in the other half of the pan. We have two of our grandsons here tonight, and I didn't want to put the peppers and onions on their side of the pizza. So if you've been around here long, you know
I've shown pizza before. This time around, I am making a stuffed crust pizza. I've always wanted to make one of those and I just haven't. So here we are making our first stuffed crust pizza. So I put a little cornmeal down. I don't normally do that, but I did today for whatever reason. I just decided I was going to. And so I'm going to work on my dough here until I get it flattened out in a nice, perfect, circular shape. That's your comic relief for the day. I just did the best I could here. I'm not looking for perfection ever, to be honest. So after I had that all into a semicircular shape, I just took string cheese. These are mozzarella string cheeses, and took them out of their packages, and I just kind of placed them around the circle, folded the crust over as best I could, and then I'll go in with the fork here in a minute and make sure I have it sealed really tight.
Oh my goodness.
That one's open.
Is that one open?
Mama, that one's easy.
Yeah, put that one in there too. What, Fishy?
I'm being hungry.
That's fine. I think Finley might be done with them. Were you done with them, Finny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you need?
You gonna eat them?
Yeah. Want you hold them, Gigi?
You hold them?
Yeah.
Because you gonna eat the rest of those little raisins?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay, huh?
Okay.
We can share, huh?
That's sweets.
Mm-hmm.
That's sweets.
Sweets. Mm-hmm.
That's sweets.
We gotta make sure we got all the
That's
cheese sealed
what?
in there.
That's what?
Huh?
What tiny foot?
It looks like tiny foots.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Okay, I think we're good.
Wait, hot dog there. Sorry.
We gotta get the sauce on there, don't we?
Don't really like it. Don't even like it.
Okay, let's get the sauce on
He
there.
ain't like it.
Who don't like it?
Riley don't like it.
He doesn't?
Yeah.
I thought Riley liked pizza. You don't think he does?
Yeah.
Right.
No, down one.
This is
Cinnamon.
garlic. Does it look like cinnamon? Gigi has one just like this of cinnamon, and I'd say your mommy does too, don't she?
Mommy don't drink. Mommy go touch. Ouch.
You like sausage?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like it sausage.
I do too.
I do too.
It's delicious.
Need more, Gigi?
Hmm?
Need more, Gigi?
Do I need more?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get it all on there. Wow, that looks pretty good.
You want the hand.
I sure do need to watch. You don't like them, huh? I'll just put them on one side for Gigi and Pops to have.
One Gigi and Pop Gigi.
Mm-hmm.
And Papa and Gigi.
Finley don't want any peppers.
Yeah. I want something out.
The little conversations that are had in the kitchen with Finley are just the best. He was telling me all kinds of things, but you can see here just traditional pizza making, and you know what, at your house make it how it best suits you. But if you ever take a notion to do a stuffed crust pizza, let me tell you, this worked out. This was so good. So I'm just gonna continue up here with all the pepperonis, the cheese, and get this thing in the oven.
Can't believe I live in your thoughts. I think about you all the time, morning, evening, and midnight. Such a wonderful delight. Forgo, give up everything that I own. Yeah, I'd give it all up now just to be with you somehow. Unexpected love was found. You're the rose in a garden, shows, if I'm honest. You're the leaves in mid-August, and I've come out here to say that I love you. Ooh, ooh, you, ooh, ooh.
I wish I had a slice of this now. It was so good. I definitely will make stuffed crust again. Some of it oozed out here and there, but the cheese didn't, disappear. It just oozed out. So it's still there. It's still yummy, but some of it stayed in perfectly fine. And yeah, this was just a super fun little twist. I did not brush any butter on the edges or anything, but you certainly could. I just made up a fresh tossed salad, and that's what we had for food that day. It was so good. All right, next up, I've got these St. Louis style pork spare ribs. Got a good deal on these at Kroger recently, and so I decided to pull the crock pot back out, put in my liner, and here is how I seasoned up these ribs before I put them in, or actually after I put them in. I just sprinkled on some garlic, some pepper, some salt from my little salt box, and then I used this Pit Boss smoke infused classic smoke flavoring. They're like granules. I put that on there, put the lid on, and I let these cook for, I'd say 5-6 hours on high, and then I pulled them out before they were falling off the bone and just used one of our classic favorites, Sweet Baby Ray's. Put a good coating of barbecue sauce on there, and then I'm just going to put these underneath the broiler for about 10 minutes or so until this gets warmed through and starts to caramelize a little bit on the top. How delicious these look. I think these were about $9, a little over $9 for this whole slab, and the crock pot did all the work. The macaroni and cheese, the box I showed you there, the spirals, those cooked in the amount of time that the ribs were finishing off under the broiler. Had a little bit of mashed potatoes left. This meal could not have been any simpler, but was definitely delicious. Take a big guess what I'm making tonight. I have the beginnings of it in this kettle. Potatoes and onions. What do you think I'm making? Well, if you guessed potato soup, you are right. It's been a little bit cooler here, and James and I have been a little under the weather, and so we needed some easy meals, and we needed some comfort food, things that I could get together quick. So something about soup when you're not feeling well always seems to sound appealing. So I'm just pulling together a really quick potato soup. I just put a little butter in my kettle, sauteed my potatoes and my onions, poured in about 4 cups of chicken broth. I'm adding in some garlic powder now, and I'm just going to let these things cook until they're soft and tender, and then we're going to move on from there. Next, I have cubed up some Velveeta style cheese, and I am going to add this all in and let it start melting down into the chicken broth as it's boiling here with the potatoes. Just kind of let that start melting in, and that's going to be the yummy cheesy component of this potato soup. Now, I usually make potato soup one of 2 ways. I make it more the style my mom made it, which is no cheese, more of a milk base with celery and just an old school style potato soup that I love so much. And then the other way is usually a very cheesy style potato soup. Today this is a little bit in the middle, and why is because I was wanting some cheese in it. I didn't have any celery, but I needed to use up some milk that we had, and I was really wanting something brothy. So I did not want this to be as thick as the cheesy style potato soup that I make usually. So I just didn't follow a recipe. I made this how I felt like I wanted it today. and it turned out just perfectly. I just really wanted some warm broth to sip on, and so you can see here I left it where it was definitely more broth than you know, full of cheese, or else I didn't even feel like thickening it up with a slurry or anything. I just kind of wanted it like this, and it turned out so good. Of course, as potato soup sits, or as you have leftovers with it, it thickens up, but yeah, this is how I was feeling like having it today. So just putting a little bit of shredded cheese on the top. I love that Trader Joe's onion salt on anything, so of course I put some of that in my soup, and some black pepper. And then I had some more of this Trader Joe's focaccia bread that we've been working through. I just cubed it up and toasted it in my air fryer, and it was the perfect little cubes of the perfect little cubes of bread to dip into our soup. It was really good. And so this, although different than I normally make it, this was exactly what I was wanting today, so I made it how I felt like I wanted it, and it was delicious. As always, I've never really had a potato soup that I didn't like, to tell you the truth. They're always delicious, even though they're a bit different from each other. So look at this. Oh my goodness. This definitely hit the spot today. I just want to make sure that you all know how much I appreciate you coming to my channel. It's a big heartfelt thank you, and the comments that you leave below, some of them have made me tear up recently. They're just so sweet and kind. I appreciate them, everyone. Your support to my channel means a lot. I'm going to do a Q&A one of these times. I think that would be fun. Working up my courage on that one. But until then, talking to you in the comments below is just so much fun. Appreciate you every time you come by. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you guys here the next week. Good Lord willing and the creek don't rise.